There are only two results that can possibly happen when a game of anything happens in the NBA: a win or a loss. The only way for a game to result in something that isn't a win or a loss is due to outside interference that might cause the game to be temporarily paused or have to be re-resumed, or in the rarest of instances, have the game have to be replayed at a certain moment where the game pivotably changes. That's rarely happened in NBA history. So when I call someone a loser, I want you to know that this comes from the bottom of my heart. The very bottom, that's filled with hatred, venom, and disgust. The Damian Lillard move that I just saw this offseason quite literally might be the biggest loser shit that I have seen in so fucking long. This video is not going to be analysis. It's not going to be anything other than a recap of everything we saw in the Milwaukee tenure of Damian Lillard's career and the very tail end of his Portland Trailblazers first stint, because this is just disgusting, to be quite honest. I'm going to be honest. I find this appalling. I find it disgusting. Especially for a player that rightfully so was pissed off, tired of losing, to go back to a losing situation. It's actually insane to me. And before anyone says anything, yes, I'm well aware that he was going to rehab in the Portland area anyway. This was made very clear after his Achilles tear and after Shams reported on it. It was pretty obvious to me that he would rehab in the area he was most familiar with, especially that since he was no longer a part of the team and he had avenues to get the health care that he wanted to rehab and be ready for the 2026 through 27 season. Obviously, right? But I'm going to be honest. This is just fuck. I've never been more disappointed in a star move. Except for, and hold on, because you too deserve to fucking catch some smoke in this. Yes, you, Devin Booker, you are a fucking loser. I'm so serious when I say this. You made it very clear that you were happy winning. You made it very clear that you were discontent with losing. The second that they before they even offered you this money, KD is gone. You're not going to win shit. You're not winning shit. You don't have anything on the roster. They've squandered, for years and years, when this team was a fucking terrible team, they have squandered their ability to draft generational prospects, leading to you having to go out there with your fucking ass out and having to ball every single night knowing that you have a minimal chance of winning. In fact, one of the only times where we talk about you significantly is your 70-point game, which I just think people need to remember this. They lost that game. One of the biggest highlights of this nigga's career happens in a loss. Think about that. He's had one final appearance. That's a lot more success than a lot of players will ever have in their entire fucking life, right? One Western Conference Finals appearance. All right. Some players never make it there. Fine. Do you know how many years of Devin Booker's career have been out of the playoffs? I mean, truly, do you know how many years he spent grinding to be at the highest level of basketball, to get to the highest level of basketball, to say Kobe is one of your fucking idols, just to be a fucking loser? Do you know how long he spent losing in Phoenix? I don't think you do. Let me just point this out, because I remember distinctly every single year he's missed the playoffs, because I'm not fucking stupid. So he's drafted in 2015 and plays the 2016 season. Obviously, since he was drafted in the lottery, they're not winning shit this year. No playoffs. Next year, no playoffs. That makes it 2018. Guess what? No playoffs. The only thing that changed in Phoenix was the Nike check on their jerseys. Next year, no playoffs. Next year, no playoffs. Next year, global pandemic, you win every single game and you still can't make it into the postseason. every game in the bubble. They won every game in the bubble. No postseason. Nigga, they started the play-in tournament, and they didn't make that. Think about that. They started the play-in tournament this year. They still don't make shit. Next year, they go on a run to the finals. Now, I said earlier that I wouldn't discredit this finals run, but I just want you to remember, since we do this all of the fucking time, I want to give you context to who they played in that finals run, and knowing how next year went, how much more embarrassing that was. They make it all the way to the finals. So first they play against the Lakers. Now the Lakers have had a very, very short offseason, and to be quite honest, the shortest reign of a title championship team because of how short the offseason was. They finished up basketball in October, and they had to play again. They had to play again in December. The fact that the team made the playoffs was astounding to me, even if it was as just the 8th seed. So they beat this team. They beat that team. The next team they play against is the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, this Denver Nuggets team has no Jamal Murray. They beat that team. The team they play after that is the Clippers team. Now, this Clippers team has made it to the Western Conference Finals, so you might be thinking they're going to be a challenge for them. Actually, no, there is no Kawhi Leonard on this team. Regardless, you play who's in front of you. You beat them. You make it to the NBA Finals, you go up 2 games, and then you proceed to lose the next 4 games. That's right, you win your first 2 home games and never win a single game after that. It's okay, though, you bounce back from that. You win 61 games the next season. 61 games. Franchise record. You and Chris Paul, who they acquired last season, and you just made a finals run. You easily breeze out of the first round because no one was expecting any difficulty from a team that just made it to the finals in the first round, especially the one that was the 1 seed who only had to play the Pelicans without Zion Williamson. So you waltz into the second round and are like, it's just Luka. It's just Luka. Like, genuinely, it is just Luka. Because this is before Jalen Brunson comes onto the scene, and I don't mean drafted, but this is before Jalen Brunson is close to being anything like the Jalen Brunson we see in the last year of his Mavericks deal, let alone the one we see in New York. So it's just, and I mean this genuinely, it is just Luka. I'm pretty sure Kristaps Porzingis is no longer on this team, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure this is around the start of his Washington tenure. So it's just Luka. You win the first game, and then the second game. All right, cool. They win the next 2 games because they're at home. Yeah, you expected that. Then you win your game at home. Then they win their game at home. Now, there's 6 games that have been played. Every home team has won their game. And not only have they won their game, they've won them in consistent and effortless fashion in comparison to the games that they've lost, which are all on the road. It's game 7. It's your house. You haven't lost a single game at home in this series. No one is expecting you to go home. Matter of fact, no one was expecting you motherfuckers to take 7 games to finish this team. I distinctly remember, yes, I distinctly remember, that this team was only expected to have to deal with this team for a 5-game sample size, and that they would be matched up against the Warriors, because we had been waiting for Steph to have a good game against the Phoenix Suns. The Suns and the Warriors matched up, I think 3 times, all of them being nationally televised, and the Suns thoroughly whooped the Warriors' ass in 2 of those games. Now, Steph had an absolute stinker, but even when Steph played good, they still whooped that ass. So think about this really quickly. You are going up against Luka Doncic in the Game 7 or a series where no home team has lost a game. You managed to be down by 41 points at halftime. So, obviously, this is not a win. It's not even close. It's not possible. Luka is absolutely shitting on you motherfuckers. It is getting really, really bad. All right. So the next year, you're looking over and thinking, dang, I don't know what we need. We need more pieces, though. And DeAndre Ayton's soft ass has to go. So you trade for Kevin Durant. Now, as a generous idea, by the way, you trade for Kevin Durant. At the time, this is seen as a massive win, but you get rid of the two front court players that made your defense actually good because considering Chris Paul is old as fuck, Devin Booker is not exactly the world's greatest defensive stopper, and DeAndre Ayton is about as soft as baby shit. So you trade those two pieces and you lose a massive part of your identity. Mikal Bridges, who plays all games. Every single game he's available for, he suits up. And he's never injured. So, you trade that guy in this thing. And you have to give up some draft picks too, motherfucker? What the hell? But it's okay because you just won yourself the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. So let's recap. This is 2023. You thinking, for sure, bro, we go into the playoffs. You beat, and I'm starting to notice a trend here, but correct me if I'm wrong. This team beats the Clippers again. But something's wrong here. Oh, right. This time they don't have Paul George or Kawhi in the closeout games. They lose Kawhi midways through the series, and you're and the best player on their team now, mind you, the best player on their team is the discarded Russell Westbrook from the other LA team that is absolutely balling for them. But let's be honest, is not winning shit in this series. It's not gonna fucking happen. No one believes in them. After you so graciously beat this team, you go up against an actual contender for the first time out there in the West. Now you're thinking, the first time we played a contender, we played against the Dallas Mavericks, and they went to the Western Conference Finals. They were not seen as a contender. Motherfucker, we didn't have them beating the Clippers. They didn't have to play the Clippers that year. That was the one round they didn't have to do that. Regardless, it doesn't matter. So you play against this team. Booker goes off for 47 fucking points. Congratulations, Devin. This was a really accomplished game from you. You were in the fucking deep pits of the bag, reaching for every single fry. You go out and ball your ass off. KD is also balling his ass off. But as you notice, there's a problem. The role players around you are fucking dog shit. And the fact that you have Kevin Durant on the team has greatly limited the ability for you to get more talent around the roster. This is something that is very obvious to anyone with fucking eyes. The Denver Nuggets beat you, and they go on to win the championship after that. So you have now been beaten back-to-back years. You're not sniffing the finals. You haven't made it to a Western Conference Finals. You've been second-round exits back-to-back years. But it's okay, because your organization trades Chris Paul for Bradley Beal. Now, if I was an idiot, I would think this was a great move. But considering that everybody and their fucking mama knew that this nigga had a no-trade clause, and more importantly than all of that, he's making 50 what a year? 50 million, not 50,000, not 5 million, 50 million. Greatly limiting the team's ability to construct the roster around you even further. So your team has committed malpractice from anyone's perspective. So why are you still there? Because you're okay cashing in those checks and sleeping at night knowing that 75 million is great. And I can't knock the hustle, but I can say one thing. I don't want to hear shit about you having problems in this city. I don't want to hear shit about the media saying, "Oh, Devin Booker, poor guy." You signed up for this shit, and you're getting what you deserve. Now back to Damian Lillard, because he seems to have escaped the premise of this video. And don't worry, we're going to get into history's biggest losers as well, because there were some truly fucking big losers in NBA history that are Hall of Famers that no one seems to talk about in the context that they deserve to be in. Fucking losers. But we'll get back to them. Because unlike a Chris Paul who's tragically injured whenever he's needed, I'm talking about healthy players who have constantly failed either themselves or are content with an organization that is constantly failing them. Dame, buddy, did you think I was just gonna let you skate by? Let's see. Your Portland Trailblazer tenure has one Western Conference Finals appearance to show for it, and let's be honest, you never really stood a chance there, did you? Now, let's give some context here. I just want to say this: keeping you with CJ McCollum for that long was malpractice. I know you like the guy, but if you really wanted to win, everyone and their mom knew that that guard that was standing next to you was way too small, not as much as a worse playmaker than even you are, which you have playmaking deficiencies, don't get it twisted. And more importantly, he's a worse scorer than you, so he's just genuinely like you, but worse. And because CJ McCollum takes more shots inside of the arc than outside of it, because CJ's ability to take threes and make threes is not as good as yours, which is elite, don't get it twisted. But nonetheless, you'd have no front court defense either to support this shit. Like, it would have to be generationally good to the point of like the Cleveland Cavaliers have been this year and previous years, right? Where the front court of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen is so good that you barely even notice that Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are getting blown by a lot. But that's not what's happening in Portland. You're getting fucked, and the best player there not named CJ McCollum, because after a while they said oh yeah, this isn't working, is Yusuf Nurkic. Let's talk about the clutch shots that you've hit. So, en route to beating the OKC Thunder, you have one of the clutchest and most iconic shots in NBA history over Paul George. You force this team to go into a rebuild. Absolutely amazing. You also have one over James Harden's Rockets. That's pretty good too. Now that was, what year was that? Probably 2014, if I'm not mistaken. It's cool. Not the greatest. So that's about it though. As far as success for this team goes, that's it. You have shown your excellence and you've figured out that this team is inept. In fact, you figured out that this team was inept when you scored 50 plus points and barely lost to the Denver Nuggets. And before you say, oh, it's the Denver Nuggets, it's not that bad of a loss. No. That was 2021. This is way before they ever win a title. Let's calm down. Now, that team was in the Western Conference Finals the previous year, but as we all acknowledge, that was a very weird year, and it was the pandemic, so context matters. Now, obviously, in hindsight, we can see that this Denver Nuggets team was going to be very amazing, but you, at this point in time, should be thinking to yourself, I just scored 55 points and we didn't win? I scored 55 points in a series, and it didn't swing it that much? Yeah, everyone and their mom can agree that you spend way too much time in Portland. Absolutely. Now, loyalty is the thing that you constantly bragged about, and not running from the grind. Now, I'm going to be completely honest for you. It made a lot of sense for you to stick in Portland when Golden State was running the league. Now, you always lose to Golden State. You've always been worse than Steph Curry, and you always will be worse than Stephen Curry. I'm sorry, it's just a fact, right? So, now that the Warriors have completely broken apart, they're done. They're pretty much done. Everyone has acknowledged that they are done at this point. KD has suffered an injury, and even if he wasn't gone and leaving to the Brooklyn Nets in a signing trade for fucking D'Lo of all people, you could reasonably assume that it's over. You will be the guy out west. Except the Clippers form, and then the Lakers go ahead and get some more talent, and you're looking over at your organization like, hey, I know these are big market teams, but what are we gonna do? Let's fuck all that bullshit. When you finally do leave, though, right? Finally, by the way, because you should have left after. To be quite honest with you, we were clamoring for you to leave after 2020. Yeah, when you lost to the Lakers in the first round of the bubble, everyone was like, yeah, this is probably the last time you ever don a jersey. Who knew it would be CJ's last time donning this jersey? Who knew that? Unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure CJ's last season was this one for the Portland Trail Blazers. That probably should have been a sign for you to get the fuck up out of there. But the writing on the wall is red and you're colorblind, apparently. So, after all of these teams that pop out west, one of them winning a championship after beating you in the first round, you decide to stick it out. You do this for, 2-3 more years? And then you demand a trade. Now, your preferred destination is Miami, and you've made it very clear that you will not entertain the idea of going anywhere else. Right? You only want to be traded to Miami after you've broken your back for this organization multiple times. The least they could do is send you to where you want to be, right? They decided to send you to beautiful Milwaukee, which is not Miami. They were close on the MI part, but everything else in that town's name is fuck all. It doesn't work for you. So, you spend the first year thinking, it's not that bad. They fire a coach. Okay, I just got here. Probably not the greatest idea. And they replace him with Doc Rivers. You're playing with Giannis, though. He's an MVP candidate. It's the first time. Oh, you guys can't work it out? You guys don't play well together at all? In fact, the data suggests that the team is just much better with just Giannis and that you shouldn't be here? Alright, well, you just suffered a blood clot and there's no need to jeopardize your career any further. Oh, you cleared up. Oh, the blood clot's cleared. They're saying you can play basketball again? Well, the Milwaukee Bucks aren't going to win a championship regardless of you playing or not. I know you got to believe that you can do it, but nah. I didn't have you guys beating the Pacers even if you did play, to be quite honest. So you go out and you risk injury, and the injury bug bites. It takes your Achilles. It's absolutely terrible, and it is so bad, and it was heartbreaking to watch. But I'm past that. Understandably so, you did what you thought was the best thing for your career and your legacy. I'm assuming you did the thing that you thought was best for your legacy, because if you were talking about your career, maybe not rush out there and fuck up your leg, potentially. I mean, blood clots shut down the season for Wemby. That would have been enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm good. Especially because blood clots can travel and there's no telling how it'll work out. It clearing is not enough. Just take the time, and this team isn't going to really win shit anyway. Boston was still out there, and we all knew Boston had the answer for you motherfuckers, even if you didn't. If you did match up. And whatever team was good enough to beat Boston was certainly good enough to beat you guys. Not even acknowledging the 60-win team that was in the East and that also whooped your ass every single time you played against them. In different fashions each time. No Giannis, whip your ass. Giannis and Dame, whip your ass. No you, whip that ass. There is no reason to think that you can win a championship this year, but that's not a problem. My problem with you has nothing to do with anything you did in your Milwaukee team here. My problem has nothing to do with you demanding a trade in your first stint in Portland. It makes sense. I'm not mad at you for those things. I'm not mad at you for the failures in the playoffs, even though you've underperformed and it doesn't get talked about a lot in the playoffs because you're just, your prime time, your Dame time. Your Dame time. You have so many clutch shots, all two of them. I mean, they're buzzer beaters though, so they're very clutch shots. But that's it. Why? Everyone knows you're going to go rehab in Portland. It makes sense. It's where your family is. Obviously. Why did you re-sign to the Portland Trail Blazers? You left them because you were either in pursuit of a championship, or you wanted to play in Miami because it would be nice to play in Miami. Understandable. Miami wasn't going to win anything anyway. But you wanted to play in Miami. Obviously, you probably wanted to play there with Jimmy Butler. That's not going to happen. But, hey, look at the Look at the league now. You've already demanded a trade, and everyone wants to see you win a championship. You want to win a championship. At least that's what we thought you wanted. You are like, damn, the grass wasn't greener in Milwaukee. Mind you, you never asked to be there. You also have been very aware of how dysfunctional this organization is from the insider perspective now. I understand. They waive you. Thank goodness you can finally leave and go wherever you want. You don't have to worry about salary. So now all there's left to do is ring chase, right? Right? Either play in a beautiful city or ring chase. You go back to your ex, your toxic ex that never did shit for you. Why? This is why I'm calling it the biggest loser move. Because you win nothing in Portland. You're never going to win shit in Portland. And honestly, if you were going to wind up back in Portland, you might as well have never left in the first place. I'm petty. I know I'm a petty person. If I leave my ex, I'm not going back to that bitch. Especially when I leave my ex in search of greener pastures. You don't go back to her. And speaking of your ex, you might as well undivorce her right fucking now, but considering where you're winding right back anyway. I mean, fuck it. Since you just... Niggas talking about running away from the grind. You ran away from your hometown, buddy. And winded up right back there. So, might as well do that again. See your kids a little bit more often and have fun with that. Because, man. By the way, in case anyone was confused, being waived is pretty much like a buyout. If anything, all they did was extend your money. So now you're making exactly what Devin Booker is making to play on a team that you've already played on, and decided that thugging it out wasn't a good idea in the first place. Don't worry though, there are some losers in NBA history that are even bigger than you, Damian Lillard. Even bigger than you, Devin Booker. Don't worry, Bradley Beal. You're a massive winner. You got that bag, and when the team said you said them right back and left for greener pastures. What any NBA player should do in this moment. Okay, so you're thinking, it's 27 minutes into the video. What losers could you be talking about? My favorite target. The biggest victim of them all. You might be thinking, so you're going to talk about Kevin Durant? No, silly. Kevin Durant has 2 championships. Whether I like him or not, respect him or don't respect him, them championships is real as fuck. 2 rings, dog. Can't say shit about it. Maybe Russell Westbrook? Look at the teams that Russ was on. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. When Russ had to do those carry jobs, there was no expectation for him. There was no way he was going to win. Russ in Washington? Yeah, dude, I don't think anyone thought he could win there. Russ in Houston? People were doubting this before it even started. Now, the small ball was cool, and they did have some they were having some decent playoff success, all things considered. Because, I mean, you just traded Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. It was a dumbass move in the first place. But I'm not going to talk about Westbrook, because Westbrook has also given me more than enough ammunition to talk about him as a player. No. I'm going to talk about someone who you guys don't view as a loser, who should be viewed as a loser. No championships, not 1. 2 championship appearances, back-to-back, mind you. Losing to the same team, back-to-back as well. Karl Malone is the biggest loser in NBA history. And even when he went as so far as to ring chase, he fucked that up by ruining the team's chemistry and to an unstateable amount with Kobe being Bryant on the roster. This motherfucker right here is the biggest loser in NBA history. He has more first run exits than you actually remember, because no one ever talks about those. And he has more first run exits than he has Western Conference appearances. This guy is consistently a loser. And I would like to point this out. No, he's not just a loser because I say he is. He's a loser because this team consistently won 50-plus games in the regular season to do fuck all in the playoffs. I mean, consistently. Like, constantly 50 wins to just make it to the first round and lose. So, yeah, this guy is the biggest loser. Him and John Stockton, considering they have sequentially the exact same career. When we talk about players who put up empty stats and whatnot, and the media's uses of the word when they call you an underperformer and under loser, we should be talking about this guy right here. Whole bunch of MVPs that are lined up doing absolutely nothing, very little playoff success, if any, if you can even call it that. And when this guy leaves to go chase rings, it does nothing. We already know what his legacy is, touching 12-year-old girls. This is the NBA's biggest loser. Before anyone tells you anything positive about Karl Malone, you cut them off and tell them he likes little girls. He's a loser. That's been the biggest losers in the NBA video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Normally, you'll get a video with some good basketball analysis, maybe some history, maybe a little bit of both. But to be quite honest, I just felt like hating today. That is all.